want to say something about it?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the thing is, right, if you have any question, please and please, right? So, I think one of the best ways to learn is, firstly, right, practice, right, constant practice, and yeah. And then the next one is, in situations like this, right, yeah, you ask questions, right, because there's some things that you might think, and maybe like, figure out that it's something different, right? So if you have any question, it's not necessarily regarding the current class, but yeah, related to Flutter and that, just feel free to stop me and ask me. I'll answer. So let me try to present
Okay,
this.
please. Have
Okay.
you skipped class for an OOP in that?
Okay. Yeah, I have taken. Okay. So have you checked my course on Aptland?
Okay. I was
Um,
actually thinking, but I'm not going to OOP. I'm just asking based on maybe this section is well, like more interactive. That's what I'm asking. Maybe you've done that.
okay. So basically, right, I discussed OP, I think, in the last class. Yeah, relations with objects and everything. Maybe in the last two classes or something where I talked about class, where I used animal as an example, and yeah, yeah, I also talked about abstract classes. Also, I did a bit of relation. That is what. Anyways, Grace will share the link to the course with you. I don't know what's wrong with maybe my network or your server. One of the two is not doing well. But yeah, so we are already rounding up with that. I think I've been able to cover like some basic about that, right? So as regards the whole part, I think you just have to watch like first three, 4 videos, and then it should be fine. If you have any question, also I've said it, you can send me a message on Twitter, right? With just make sure you like prefix it with ladies in Flutter, so I know that I have kind of like something I am committing to, because if it's just a random person, right? There are chances that I might not respond or something. But yeah. Anyways, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop it. And yeah,
Okay,
fix it
thank
with
you.
yeah, I'll answer. Okay, so back to today's class. Today we are going to be talking about streams, and then we are finally going to be talking a bit about Flutter. Yeah. So, what exactly has stream, right? The thing is, I feel stream has to be one of the most tricky part of that, according to maybe the people have asked questions, right? And that's basically because of the fact that yeah, people tend to think about some concept in programming out of out of the box. So take for instance now future. So if for any reason you want to think about what a future is, right? From the name already, you can tell it's something that allows you to perform action in the future, right? So same thing applies to string. So what exactly is a string? It's just the basic way you explore your string, right? Yeah, so you can just relate this to a stream of water. Um, a stream of water has water flowing through it continuously, right? And then people that want to perform irrigation maybe connect their pipe to that stream of water, and then they easily get water to their farm. People that want to drink are picking up from that stream. Also, people that want to, as far as there is continuous flow of water, right? Water keeps getting distributed to every listener and everyone trying to like pick up something from the stream, right? So that's basically the same thing with Flutter, right? So did I say Flutter with that? So stream is continuous flow of data actually, and then continuous provision of data. So let's say you have a stream of numbers, and then you are continuously updating the number, right? You want to get the latest update. You want to get the latest update to your application. You want to get the latest update to your code and the likes like that. And yeah, I'll just talk briefly about streams, and hopefully there are a lot of applications in stream, right? But yeah, it's what stream is one of the advanced that um, aspect. But yeah, you can always like it's as simple as it sounds actually. The main thing is you are not thinking of it outside what it actually is, right? And yeah, let's hop into streams. And enough of my talking. So stream.
Caesar, please can you increase the font of your.
Sorry about that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, so we have a void main as usual. Yeah, we have a void main. So this is our entry point, right? One thing I want us to just do is let's just try to continuously update as we all know, right? Our code runs from top to bottom. So let's say we run this, we say hello, and then we come here and we say hello world, right? And we say world or something. Like we all know, whenever you try to run this, you get the hello first and the world first. So let's try to demonstrate something with stream, right? Um, yeah, there is a term in that called controller. So controller is kind of like I would say a tool used to control a particular widget or a particular action or something like that. So a controller is basically used for controlling the actions that happen with maybe a particular widget or a particular type of code. So let's say in Flutter now we have something called a page view. If you want to perform some action with the controller, like maybe some actions with the page view, like maybe moving to the next page, in that page view, right, you need kind of like the controller to perform that action and a lot of other things, right? So basically, right, controller is a term used in Flutter in order to like control a particular widget or a particular code. So I'll just like up on this and let's try to play around this. So in stream, right, there's something called a stream controller. I'll just define a variable called controller equals to stream controller. Okay, so I'm thinking of a continuous string of numbers, right? So let's try a continuous string of numbers. Um, yeah, you can either add the type. Yeah, you can add the type, right? So like strictly tell this controller that it's only controlling um integer type of string, right, and nothing else. So yeah, or you can leave it like that. So it's going to just take the idea of dynamic. For me, I love to like put the type of the data type of the string controller. I love to like add it there. So yeah, the next thing we want to do is add a listener. So controller dot string listen, right? Yeah, listen function. So you had a listener, and yeah, this listener takes in a value or returns a value to us that we can always print. So I'm trying to experiment something so you guys can see. So let's say we try to print this number, print number is number, right? Yeah, so we have a controller. We have a stream. We are listening to the stream controller. Right? We have a controller, right? We are streaming and listening to the values in the stream controller. And if you try to run this, definitely and hopefully, right, nothing is going to happen because of the fact that okay, let me remember our hello was yeah, nothing is going to happen because there is nothing in our stream yet, right? So there's like log console. Yeah, so nothing is happening. So what we want to do is we want to continuously update this number. Yeah, we want to continuously update this number, right? And since we have a listener here, something that listens to our screen, we get updates whenever there is a value in the stream. So, like I mentioned, right, whenever there's water in, your root stream, right, everyone that is listening to it, no matter where, um, no matter where the person is, right, everyone that is listening to it can actually like, get access to get access to the data coming from, your stream. But anyways, let's try something. Uh yeah, let's create a for loop. Let's create a for loop, right? Okay. For int I that should be just be 20. I less than or equals to 20. Plus. Okay, so oh sorry. Yeah, I have to assign this. I was just surprised that yeah. So the next thing is, yeah, controller. There is a term called sync. So yeah, it allows you to like update the values in your stream, right? There's a term called sync. So once you call sync, then you can add a particular value, and then once you can add a particular value which is called event. And since we already defined the type of the stream controller here, automatically it tells you that it's an integer. So if you switch this from an integer to maybe something like string, string, you get an update that the event you are meant to add is meant to be a string, right? And yeah, let's switch this back to an integer and let's add our high. Okay, so one very very important thing right in, in programming generally is the fact that you have to always dispose whatever whatever takes up a lot of memory. So because stream provides like continuous or yeah sequence of data, right? We have to always make sure that there is no memory being used whenever you are leaving your program. So let's say for instance now we keep on adding this I for maybe forever, and whenever we are done, maybe whenever we are closing our application, right? It's still taking up the memory, and then it still has the data stored somewhere in the memory, right? We have to find a way to like clear this old data and make sure our memory is clear to prevent something called memory leak that can crash our application, right? And if you're writing Flutter, the method is called private dispose. If you're using a stream subscription in Flutter, it's called cancel. And yeah, for controllers like this also, I think it's dispose. And yeah, for this you can just do controller dot close in order to like in order to close every listener, and then yeah clear every memory used actually. So that's just it as regards this. So let's try to run this. Hopefully our code works. Um, okay, let me try to move this to the right. Okay, yeah, and let me try to run this again. So if you notice, even though we have our print, what's the name? Even though we have our print statement above our for loop, right? Since we are always updating the data, we are still getting our data update, and then since there's a listener, it keeps like printing the number continuously, right? And you see the application of string whenever you start writing in Flutter stuff like Flutter, right? So take for instance now, um, you want to keep listening to the state of a particular user in your application, right? And then yeah, whenever the user is logged out, right, you want something to happen on your application. So you can have something called a string reader, which is not a part of that but a part of Flutter, right? You can have something called a string reader that listens and rebuilds your widget based on a particular string value. But yeah, you can just play around this. You can change this to a string. You can change this to a string and then maybe come here and write here. And when you run this, get a new update, right? And you can have multiple controllers. You can play around this. And the main thing is you have somewhere you are listening to your screen from and somewhere you are disposing your screen. So this is basically a dispose method for that, right? That's just it as regards to it. So yeah, screen is a very tricky part of that, right? But a very interesting one because it's a way to listen to continuous updating your data, right? So it's a way to listen to continuous updating your data and get your application updated or whatever you're doing updated. So let's say you're writing a backend application, you're writing a front-end application, right? You get continuous updating your data. So if you notice whenever you're using data, using your application in real time before the application and you're getting data in real time, right? That means whenever an update is made, you get your data. Whenever there is a new news or whenever there's a new tweet from someone, you get a real-time update, right? Basically, it's a function of string. It's a function of string, right? And it's just producing different values in real time. Tricky what's the name thing to use in that because yeah, I just run the preparation node application. Make sure you are using it only when it's required, right? And not just not just anywhere. Yeah, only where it's required. But if you know how to use it well, right, it's one of the best things you can actually use for your application. But yeah, you're just one step away from crashing your application if you're using Script. The main thing is you're disposing, you are using it correctly, and you are only rebuilding. You are only rebuilding or listening whenever you need to, and that is just the basic tips for string. But if we have time, we can explore kind of like a basic string example using Flutter, right? And yeah, that's that regarding string. String is not hard complex to start. It's just I just felt like okay, we should add this to our topic, and yeah, so that you can be fully prepared for that and for the Flutter part of our lessons, right, of our sessions. But yeah, I know I've been saying gibberish, and you might have questions locking in your mind, right? Please feel free to stop me at any time to ask me. Um, yeah, I believe I have been able to talk about some fundamentals of that, right? We talked about data types, we talked about features and strings, we talked about function, we talked about some basic concept of group is like abstraction. We discussed about how class is a blueprint for creating your object, and we talked a lot about a whole lot of other things, right? And that's why we had to like exit like 4 weeks, and yeah. But I think we are fine basically, right? We've been able to I still think this needs a clean up. Maybe I'll work around a clean up for this and put proper comments. So yeah, basically we've been able to talk about the fundamentals to get you started as a that developer. Maybe you want to become a backend developer using that, right? This is all enough for you to like jump into whatever you want to start writing. If you want to become a Flutter developer, this is all enough to jump to get you started, right? If you notice, we even talked about stateful and stateless widgets, even though we've never gotten to Flutter. But yeah, we talked about how it was built, and basically, I think that is just more fundamental. Does anyone have any question before we move to Flutter? Okay then. Let's talk about Flutter. Um, yeah. So what exactly is Flutter? I've been trying to think of a definition, but I don't think Flutter has that excessive definition other than it's a UI toolkit for creating responsive UI and beautiful UI designs, right? So, yeah, it can be used to like create beautiful UI designs. If you've seen some of the things a lot of people have been using Flutter, right? You know, how far you can go with Flutter. So, yeah, that's just basically it, right? It's a UI toolkit for building responsive application, and it's not limited to just mobile applications. It can be extended to web. It can be extended to Mac operating system. It can be extended to Linux. It can be extended to I think some IoT, right? Even Mercedes. I think Mercedes uses Flutter, right, for their car applications and like that. So yeah, it can be extended to your watch applications and the like, right? So yeah, that's just basically what Flutter is. It's a UI toolkit for building applications. So the first thing I want to do is maybe install Flutter. But yeah, as usual, you don't have to always like install all these things. There are a lot of online platforms that allow you to like play around with it without having to run them on your PC, right? Yeah, without having to run them on your PC. So we have Zapper. Yeah, so we have one. Oh yeah, here's the Lorenzo. Your Flutter application project could not be loaded. I don't know why this is happening. So I don't know why that is happening. But anyways, yeah, Zapron is something you can always use to like run your Flutter applications. Let's say you don't have a very like good PC that allows you to like efficiently run your application, right? So there are a lot of things you can do with Zapron. It's not just limited to Flutter. You can run your data applications using Flutter. So as you can see, you can run using Zapron rather. You can run your data application. You can run your Flutter application. You can create there are also templates you can follow. You can use for your Flutter and data application, right? Using Zap. So anyways, yeah, that's for those that want to like run this directly online. To create a new project is just as simple as this, right? Tap this, and yeah, you have a Flutter project here. But let's say you love your things local, like I do. Yeah, let's say you love your stuffs local, like I do, right? To download Flutter, just I think just search for download Flutter. Who is a very yeah. So the first thing should help, right? So let's use this. And I apologize for my slow network. So depending on your OS, there are multiple there are multiple ways to install like Flutter. So you can use on Windows if you are using Windows. For me, if you're using Mac, you can use on Mac. If you're using Linux, you have it here. If you are using Chrome OS, you have the installation setup, and it just follow the documentation, right? And most of the reasons why people don't like figure out how to install this is because they don't follow the documentation. So first thing, download this zip file, extract it and place it inside maybe a Flutter. This if you've done the Habo, and update your part. And where you're going to run Flutter Docker, it's as simple as that, right? Flutter Docker is a command that ensures that you have everything set up. So let's say I run Flutter Docker on my end. Okay, so I don't know why it's taking a while, but hopefully we're going to get something. Yeah, so it tells me what version of Flutter I am on. So I'm not on a stable version. I'm on a master version. But yeah, you should get something different from mine, except you are using the same thing as I'm right. Yeah. So I have everything checked. I have my HTTP was connected by stereo available VS Code, blah blah blah. All these ones like that. So I have all this set up and no issues found, right? But if you have any issue, right, you can just send a screenshot. I should be able to help you with that. But yeah, that's regards the whole Flutter installation. So let's try to like create a new Flutter project, right? So to create a new Flutter project, I love to use the terminal. I love to use the terminal for creating my Flutter project because it's much more faster and yeah. But you can always create it using the plugins on your VS Code or your Android Studio. But I'll just go with the terminal because this is much more general. If you run this on or Windows, it will work. If you run this on Linux, it will work. If you run this on Chrome OS, it will work. Okay. So let's navigate to a direct. Let me use desktop for now. Yeah. Once again, sorry about how small my screen looks. So to create a new Flutter project, you just write Flutter creator. Yeah. So Flutter create. I'm trying to think of the name. Flutter tutorial should be tutorial. It's fine. And yeah. So as you can see, it created a folder. It created this folder for me, in which I can then open in my VS Code, right? And to do that, I just put that tutorial and code. Yeah, you have to add your VS Code to your terminal for you to be able to do that. Or if you've added it, you should be fine. Okay, so that's all. After creating a Flutter project, you should have multiple folders and a lot of things which you are going to try to go through one by one and explore what they do right. So the first thing is yeah, the prospect.yaml file. Uploads are written from scratch, right? A lot of projects you are using today are very much dependent on a lot of other people's code, and that's the reason why we have open source in the first place, right? And yeah, there's a concept called packages in Flutter that allows you to write a portion of code that performs a particular action, and then you can push that to pub.dev, which is a website for exploring different packages created by other developers, right? And then yeah, whenever you want to use that portion of code, right, you can always come to add that in your Flutter prospect.yaml file. But yeah, let me try to open pub.dev for you to see how it looks like. Pub.dev for you to see how it looks like. Let's open a package I personally built. So this is a package I personally built on pub.dev, and yeah. So basically, what this one does is it allows you to like generate random values for testing, and basically that's just it. And yeah, same thing applies to other packages also, right? On this particular, I'm I've forgotten some of the name of the package that I personally created with. But yeah, there's a provider package which allows you to like perform manage your state in your Flutter application. There are a lot of other packages. There's Flutter block, but also manage it in your application, right? Yeah, Flutter block for managing state in your application also, right? It's not like you can write all these things from scratch, but if you look at the code it took to create all these things, right? You will notice that if you are putting all these things in your code base would just get very, very bulky, right? And yeah, maybe it looks this simple, but it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? And I just feel like, um, all these things that helps you, you should try as much as possible to use them. Though don't overuse packages, right? Just use the ones that you feel are required so that you can still have the ability to be flexible. So for state management packages, right, you can always use a package for that, but maybe some basic UI packages. I don't think that is really really required. But anyways, you can still always use them, right? But yeah, that's just the concept of packages, right? And to add the package to your Flutter application, uh, these are just comments. So don't mind me deleting them. I love deleting them because it just makes our application look necessarily big, big, whereas we have just sometimes going on. I'll just clear this. I'll clear all the comments so that at least you can see what's going on. Okay, let me leave this. I'll leave this so that I can explain. Alright, so to add a package, right, there's something called dependencies here, and to add a package, you just need to come here and then add whatever package you want to add. So, for instance, Flutter block, yeah, for instance, Flutter block, if we check what version block is now, we can see it's on 8.1.2. So, yeah, just prefix this to 8.1.2. And when you run, you can run pub get in order to like bring in the package into your application. So you can run this in your terminal, or I think I guess could already do that for me, or you can just run this in your terminal. Another easy way to like add packages to your Flutter application is by running Flutter pub add. This is what I use the most, right? So for instance, that my package called can start, right? Once I sorry, Flutter pub add can start. So instead of me having to go through the steps of having to go to pub.dev and searching for chance start, right? Automatically it adds it for me and then it runs Flutter get for me. And as you can see, it is being added to our dependencies folder. Yeah, that's as regards dependencies. There's also something called dev dependencies, right? So dev dependencies are basically dependencies or packages using your application, but it's only developer focused. Something like your test dependency, something like your build journal, something like um, what else again? Yeah, something like your generators and likes like that. I don't want to complicate everything, but yeah, these are basically dependencies used by your Flutter application, used by just you as a developer in your Flutter application. So you want to write test, right? Your your user doesn't have to know what kind of tests you're running, right? So all these things you add them to your Flutter dependency. That's first thing. Yeah, you also to like use assets. When I say assets, right, to use external files in your application, you have to also register them in your prospect.yaml. So if you can see there's an example here in which is commented, you can just comment this, right, and then add whatever asset you want to add. But when we're exploring, we look into this. Also, right, if you want also your uncomment this you are fine. You should have your phone in place. And also, whenever you make all these changes in your prospect HTML, make sure to always run Flutter Object, right? So ensure that you have the updated dependencies on everything. That is just it as regards this, right? Another thing Flutter prospect.yml has is maybe the project, the version of the project, right? This is where you control the environment of the project, right? So as you can see, I'm on this funny looking environment, right? And yeah, yours will be definitely different, except you're using a Flutter master channel or something like that. Yeah, so this is where you can add your description of your project, and that is basically generated after you run your project. So it contains everything required. So you can see right how it is required. Find here. It contains basically the definition of all the packages you've added, and that's what your project is. We can just close this. You don't need to know anything about this, right? It's a generated file. Whenever you run your Flutter project, you get it. So I'll just close this. Like I mentioned, right, Flutter runs on multiple operating systems, and as you can see, there are different folders for this operating system, right? These folders helps ensure that whatever code you're writing in your Flutter application runs on that particular platform. So let's say, for instance, I don't want my Flutter application to run on Windows. All I just need to do is delete this folder, and you're fine, right? Because I don't have this is not a Windows device, so we are fine also. Yeah, because this is not a Windows device, deleting that is fine, so we shouldn't have any problem. So yeah, for our web, you can see it contains basically everything required in order to build a full functioning web application. It contains an index.html that manages everything that happens in your Flutter application. It contains your fav icon. It contains the icons used in your Flutter application, and like that, like that. Um, so yeah, this is your test folder. This is where all the tests that happens in your Flutter. This is where all the tests you're writing in your Flutter application happens. So let's say you want to test your widget. Let's say you want to write unit test, right? Everything happens in this folder. And basically, right, testing is to like verify that all your every part of your application works as expected. So if you run Flutter test, hopefully this passes. If you run Flutter test in the terminal, it runs and checks everything, and then gives a feedback if your test is going to pass or fail. So let's try to find the test that will fail. Okay, I goes by so let's try to see demonstrate it through test. Yeah, so yeah, this is what happens when your test fails. But you don't necessarily, though it's a very very important part of Flutter. But yeah, for now we are not going to be talking about how to write a test or anything. But yeah, this is what happens when your test fails. It tells you some test fails like that, and all you just have to do is either fix your text or fix your program on the top. So macOS folder also contains everything required to make sure your application runs on macOS, and same thing applies to Linux, and same thing applies to iOS. Same thing also applies to Android, right? And yeah, if you're an Android developer, this folder definitely, or yeah, definitely look very, very familiar with the one you always have whenever you're building an Android application. It contains your app, it contains your SRC, your main Kotlin or Java, and that's just it as regards to Android. So enough of all this, talking about the OS, this application is going to run on. Yeah, there's another folder here called build. So this contains maybe your APKs, everything, every build files used by your application. So most of the files here are generated. So you might not need to worry about this. You might not. The only time you might need to check the build folder is when you build an APK, for instance. Let's try to build an APK. I don't know if this will work. So, but yeah, let's try to build an APK, and you should get if it works right, you should get the APK. Yeah. So that's the only time you might need to worry about building an APK. Another thing is, so finally, the main part of our application, right, which is the unique that this is where all your Flutter code go into. And as we have in that, right, we also have a main.dat file. This main.dat file is responsible for it acts as an entry point to our application, right? Yeah, it acts as an entry point to our application, and basically, just like our that instances, we have something called a void main, and this void main, right, is where our what's the name? Our compiler looks into to run our Flutter code, right? That's just what happens. So yeah, as you can see, it contains this function called run app, and then my app. Um, One thing I do recommend you do is if you look at this code, okay, yeah. So our whatever is built finished, and if you check here, you should have an APK for our application. So app release and everything here is generated, so you probably don't need to like worry about this. Um, Anything that has dots in front of it, right, is an hidden directory, and also basically this one is just containing configurations, right, and that is it as regards to that. So these two, you also don't need to worry about that. They are auto generated. Yeah, back to our code, right? One thing I always recommend people do is whenever you have what's the name, whenever you have your Flutter app, just as a beginner, just try to read through the comments in this Flutter application. Or yeah, the comments, right? They would just calm down and just read through the comments. We have an application that extends stateless widget. So stateless widgets are widgets without state, right? They are widgets that don't that you can't continuously update their data. So Flutter is naturally immutable. So if you know what immutable means, that means it basically doesn't change. So for instance, now if I had something called immutable to this place, right? If I had I forgot what this is called, an annotation rather. Yeah, if I had an annotation called immutable to this Flutter application, everything I must define must be final. So let's say I do something like this. Let's say I do something like this. String value equals to this. Right. So you can see it's already warning me, and this is already giving an error because it has to be a constant, and it's already warning me that the class is marked as immutable. Why am I defining a value that is not final in this class, right? But if I had my final string value, everything clears up, right? So final basically makes sure that whatever value you're passing into this particular widget um, is not getting updated, right? So that's what a stateless widget is. So stateless widget is a widget without a state, basically, and a state means update variables that get updated over time. That it's as simple as that.
Hello, Caesar. Hello, Caesar. Sorry, you say what? I don't know if it's only me, but I can't hear him again.
Yes, I can hear you. No.
Let me send him a message. I'm calling him, but no response. I don't know. Maybe we'll give him like 5 minutes, and if he doesn't come, we can just probably end the class for today. I guess we'll just end the class because I've sent messages, called, and it's not responding. So I guess we've lost him for the night. So um, thank you. I would upload this and share the class. So next week, fully we'll start with Flutter properly, and at least for the next week class, for the classes going forward, we'll do practical classes, live classes with all what we've learned in that. I guess that's a better way to understand the concept of all the things we've been doing in that, literally. So ladies, thank you for joining. See you next week, same time, same venue, same host, same tutor. Alright, good night, stay safe. Yeah, bye.